any other issue, personal or general, that...
Mr. So your opponent is an Iranian descent, and they're below there. The guy who is going to run against you in the next election is an Iranian descent. So what is that? No, that's okay. So the point is that for the Iranian Canadian community, what is the difference between conservative and liberal to be clear, to choose between? Because when it comes to Iran, both of them, both the parties support the sanction, both parties are in support of the closure of the consulate. So could you please explain that?
The most easy way to address this issue is to look at the three parties or the four parties on a spectrum. On the right-hand side, which is the conservative, because we say we are on the right, and then to our left is the liberals, and to their left is the NDP, and then the Green Party is somewhere left or right of the liberals. The most easy way to explain is that the conservatives has one hand in your pocket taking your taxes. The liberals have two hands in your pocket taking your taxes. The NDP will have two hands, and they'll find a third hand to take money from your pockets. So that is on a tax basis. That's how we are different. On the basis of personal freedom in this country, conservatives will have a philosophy that the people can best determine by yourself what you want to do and how you want to spend your tax money. So we decrease the taxes, we decrease the GST, we decrease the personal income tax, so that, and also to the point that for something as simple as childcare, we give you the money as a parent to put your children in childcare. You as a family decide how you want to give that care to your children. The liberals, they say, well, we're going to have institutions, we're going to train special schools, that have childcare services. The NDP says, oh, we're going to do that, and we're going to also ensure that you spend no more than $15, but we will get this money from somewhere. We'll print more money and fund this. The problem with that is, if you look at the whole thing, the liberals and the NDP want to micromanage the economy. The conservatives do not want to micromanage the economy. I've been both an accountant and an economist before. I do not feel that a bureaucrat or someone in government knows how best to manage business. They have no experience. They leave a very comfortable, they leave university and then they enter into a very comfortable, civil service job, and then, where is your business experience? Where is the experience that you have to risk your own money to go and leave at your house to run a business, to run a country? That is my question. If you look at the argument on national defense, conservatives says Canada needs to be a sovereign nation. We need to have a certain amount of national defense. We need to stand up for what is right. We need to do things in terms of maintaining world peace. What I hear from the conservatives, from the liberals, and from NDP says, oh, no, this is wrong, you need to go and negotiate with the enemy. Well, how realistic is that? How realistic is it to negotiate with ISIS? How realistic is it to negotiate with, the Ayatollah Khomeini? How realistic is it to negotiate with Putin? So you have to take a position in saying that, Mr. Putin invading Crimea, annexing Crimea is wrong. We will support Ukraine. But will we go to war? Well, we can be pushed to that. But then if you look back in history, if the West do not go to the aid of Europe during World War II, and just watch Hitler take over, that is a problem. I mean, we did nothing when Stalin went and massacred 20 million Russians and Ukrainians. We did nothing when China, when Mao Zedong killed 40 million Chinese. So the question now is that, the question is a moral question. Where do you want to stay? We want to stay on the side that says, no, this is wrong. ISIS should not have the freedom to do what they do. Human rights is important to us. That's why we stand up for it. We don't exercise that sort of wishy-washy type of say, well, let's have you ever been a Boy Scout? Well, do you know what Boy Scout is when you say, let's go by the campfire and have a kumbaya moment. Kumbaya moment. Yeah, let's all be friends and hug each other and so on. You cannot do that with ISIS. You cannot do that with terrorists. Okay? So, the other thing is that, as a nation, conservatives are saying, we need to reach out. We need to increase more international trade. From the time that we entered office in 2006, we have signed, or in the process of signing, 43 international free trade agreements. The Liberals only signed 3 when they were in power. The NDP doesn't even want to sign any. How can we survive as a nation if we don't sign international free trade agreements? And to take another thing, to take it to an point, we are of the opinion that if you manage your natural resources properly, we can have a sustainable economy and we can still address the environmental issue. So to us, the most safe form to bring oil from the Alberta tar sands to the West Coast to the markets of Asia is to do it by pipeline. Now let me say that you can transport it by truck, you can transport it by train, you can transport it by ocean tanker. Now, ocean tanker, yes, when you go across the Pacific, you have to transport by ocean tanker because it's very hard to put a pipeline in the ocean. But inland, transporting it by truck and transporting it by train are environmental disasters if there's an accident. Pipelines are the safest unless someone sabotages it. So this is where we differ. So the NDP and the Liberals says, oh no, you can't do this. This is too dangerous. Let's keep our oil in the ground. I think that's an unrealistic discussion. I mean, if I come and tell you if the NDP and the Liberals have their way, says, okay, stop driving and stop heating your house. Or either that, or we can always buy more oil from Saudi Arabia. We can always buy more from Yemen and Kuwait. I mean, we can always do that. I mean, will we? If it's critical, maybe we should reduce our sanction on Iran and buy Iranian oil if it's cheaper. I mean, at the end, it is all economics. If you don't sell your oil today, here's the point. I mean, and I'm speaking as an economist. You don't sell your oil today, shale oil will someday replace oil. Electric car someday will hopefully replace oil. Oil will be like what happened to natural rubber in Malaysia during World War II, when the English says, hey, we don't need the natural rubber. We can do it from petroleum sources and have, man-made rubber. Then the whole industry dies. And let me say that for every job that is lost in the oil-producing sectors of Alberta, there's the cascading effects with 6 other jobs across Canada, both in airlines, hotels, restaurants, engineering. The cascading effect is dramatic. That's why the oil price drop is very dramatic to us, because it affects the unemployment situation across Canada. So anyway, so in the spectrum, conservatives want to have the least control on how people decide how they want to live. The Liberals are in the middle somewhere. and the NDP wants to have the maximum control on how you live. So that's the difference.
Mr. Leung, I recognize how fundamental the question was
Sure.
and your response, but still you gave me that 1 minute, 5 minutes. But we try again for our newcomer, the person who actually happened to my own sister. We are having an open floor. It's open to any type of personal or general questions.
Okay. Yeah. So, and one of the other things you'll appreciate is that I've been a businessman before. What the Conservatives are trying to do is make as few regulations as there is for you to start your own business. The Liberals and NDP have a lot of regulations. We are in one of the most over-regulated societies in North America. You can't open a business without complying with environmental impact assessment, labor legislation, minimum wages, health insurance payment, UI payment. That's way too much, and we're trying to reduce that, reduce the impact of that on people who want to try to make this economy work. So that's my basic question. It's a spectrum of things. It's not, at the same time, we have to be compassionate, as I say. At the same time, we do help people who are on unemployment insurance. We do help people who are. There's always going to be people, about 3 or 4%, that will always is in between jobs or having to retrain themselves, and there is a big problem, and I agree with that. There's about 13–14% youth unemployment. That is because people like me, near 65, we're still not retired yet. But if those that are born in the 80s, they want to get into the job market, and they have a hard time, because people like me have not retired. No, so we should
hopefully be retired in October.
Yeah, we're not going to retire. Okay, I may. I mean, if that's the case, I will enjoy my retirement. When I was elected in 2011, my wife said,
Your last one.
he says, you have set back our retirement by 4 years and possibly 8 years. And he says, you'll be 70 before you finish. And I said, well, I hope I have the energy to live to beyond 70.
Amen.
Do you want that we help you?
There was a general question which was actually advertised. I leave it after your question. Go ahead, please.
No, my first question, do you want that we help you to retire earlier?
No. I want you to help me work harder so that I can represent people that are also immigrants. Let me tell you one thing. You look at the whole spectrum of people who are running for politics. One senator told me, he said, Mr. Leung, you belong in the top 3 to 4% of the people who have that knowledge of the world and of Canada to be in politics. When a prime minister appointed me as parliamentary secretary for multiculturalism, he says, there's no one in this country that has your qualifications. And let me explain. I came to Canada as a student, 1968, graduate student. The reason I came to Canada was because at that time, when I applied to the graduate school in the United States, the US government says, as a condition of giving you a student visa, you have to sign up for the draft to go to Vietnam. So I said, no, I'm not going to fight your war. So I came to Canada. In Canada, I have experienced being an international student. In 1970, Canada unilaterally recognized the People's Republic of China. I hold the passport of the Republic of China. Overnight, I was a stateless citizen. I have no country. I went to the immigration department and said, my visa is expiring, what do you want to do? He says, you don't recognize my passport, you have to leave. But he says, go get a People's Republic of China passport. I said, I'm not a communist. I was not born there. So they allowed me to apply for a British overseas passport, which is nothing, just an identity card, to stay 1 year to finish my degree. And then after I graduated, I found a job. I had to go back to them and said, okay, I want to have some professional training. Can I apply for a work visa? The immigration officer says, no, apply for a land immigrant because then you don't have to come back to me every year. So I became a land immigrant. So I was a international student, a stateless citizen, a land immigrant, and then I worked for big corporations like Pricewaterhouse, and then I worked for Ontario Crown Corporation. Actually, I did go down to the United States to get an engineering degree. I came back and I worked for a Crown Corporation, Ontario Crown Corporation, and then about 1990, 2000, I went for politics. So, you know, a person who have experience being international student, stateless citizen, not quite refugee, and a land immigrant, and a citizen, and then a member of parliament, I understand most of what all of you have to go through as immigrants. I understand it much better than some of my colleagues. That's the fact. When you live in an urban center like Toronto, you know, you understand the issues that are faced by an immigrant when you first come to this country. You know, if you don't speak the language, you know, or if you're a visible minority, there is always a glass ceiling. There's always a glass ceiling. You know, you apply for a job, you know what those are. I feel that much better than someone else who haven't had that experience. So for those reasons, you know, I intrinsically feel that I appreciate a lot more of the problems that are faced by immigrants from around the world. That's the fact. For 20 years, I built disaster relief houses in Palestine, in Jordan, in Egypt, and for disaster relief in Pakistan, in China. I know what the refugee camps are like. I know the issues that are faced. I mean, we are all so blessed, so lucky to be in Canada where you don't see these things. So that's what I bring to Parliament. And I bring to Parliament as a person who was not born here, because I don't feel that most of the issues that I'm addressing I'm entitled to. I feel that as Canadians, we need to earn it. So.